Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to you, wherever you are. Hello, hello. Hello. Here we are again, yeah, for another live here on YouTube. Great to be back. This is the second live I'm doing for the channel. That's awesome. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Hello, hello. Let's just wait a little bit for people to join. A few people are joining here in the chat. We have Zamir. Hey, Zamir. Let me shout you out here, man. Huh? There you go, yeah? Zamir Cantareiro, right? Hey, Thiago. Hello, Zamir. Um, yeah. You are my student from the pronunciation course, right? You are taking the sounds of English. By the way, Zamir, how is the pronunciation course going for you? Let me know. Yeah. And by the way, if you have any questions about the course, maybe a lesson there, you can ask me here in today's live a little bit later. All right. Really cool. Hello, everybody. Great to have you all here. Let me see here. Is it Toma or Toma? Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Hello, Thiago. Thank you for your work, for your efforts. I am looking forward to every podcast episode. Since I knew about you, learning English has become significantly simple for me. That's great to know. Yeah. Thanks for following my work. Yeah. The episodes here. It's awesome. I'm gonna say Toma, yeah, your name. So please correct me if I'm wrong. All right. Toma, you are from Russia. Yeah, Russia. Awesome. What time is it now in Russia, by the way? Yeah. Right now for me it's 10 p.m. Yeah. I wonder what time it is over there now. We also have here Anna Maria. Hello, Anna. Hello, teacher. Hello, Anna. Good to have you here joining us again. Yeah, very nice. Then we also have, is it Kina or Kana? Rabbi or Rabbi? Hi, Chago, my best teacher. Thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate the love and support. Thanks for hanging out with me today, for being here live. Guys, as you are joining the live, please leave a like already, okay? Click the like button there. It's important for me. It helps me a lot. So as you join, just like the button. All right. I have a little bit of an ambitious goal today. I would like to have at least 100 likes in today's live. We got, I think, 30 or 31 people joining so far. So as you join, just leave a like. All right. And if more people join, remind them to leave a like for me, please. Okay. That helps me a lot here on this wonderful platform called YouTube. Oh, yeah, YouTube. Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful. We have here Magali Medina. Hi, Thiago from Argentina. Awesome. Hi, Magali. Great to have you here. And welcome. Welcome to today's live. We're going to be hanging out for a little while today. Let's see who else is in the house. We have Newton's Prism. Hi, Thiago. What's up? I'm doing well. Thank you for joining. Hope you're doing well too. And we have another person here. Oh my. I'm sorry. I can't say your name, but is that Japanese? Man, I gotta learn more languages. Just knowing Portuguese and English is not enough anymore. Yeah. Hello, Thiago. Hello. Welcome to the live. Great to have you here. We have Minor or Maynor. Hi, how's it going, Thiago? Doing well. Welcome. Hope you're doing well too. And we have Dr. Badri, BBS. Hello, Thiago. We appreciate your valuable content. Thank you. And I appreciate you. I appreciate you guys, who watch every week, who follow the content. Without you guys, there's no channel. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be doing this, to be honest. Yeah, so thank you. Um, Hola, Santiago. Santiago, yeah, can you imagine that? Yeah. Hello, hello. Or should I say hola? That I know, yeah. Hola, yeah. It's Spanish, right? Cool. We have here Bianca, Bianca Velasquez. Hi, teacher. Hi, Bianca. Good to have you here. Welcome. Guys, leave the like button. Leave the like button. Push the like. Click on the like. That's what I meant. Yeah, yeah. Make sure you like the live as you join. Diego Rodriguez. Hello, hello, Diego. Good to have you here. Welcome. Luiz Aquino. Luiz, hello, Thiago. Saludos desde Paraguay. Thanks for helping me on my journey to learn English. Awesome. Thank you, Luis. It's a funny thing. My middle name is also Aquino. Did you know that? I don't think you guys knew that, by the way. I mean, I usually go by Thiago Alencar, right? That's my last name, but I also have a middle name. My middle name happens to be Aquino as well. So we might be related. Who knows? Yeah, that's cool, man. We have here, is it Jones? Or I think it's Jones or Yonis, maybe? Yeah. Good evening, teacher. How have you been? I have been doing very well. Thank you for asking. Hope you've been doing well too. Um, I'm happy, actually. I'm glad that I'm much better now because the past 2 weeks I caught a cold and it took me a while to recover. Yeah. Even last week, I did the first live last Friday. My voice was not 100% yet. So today I'm much, much better. When you get sick, it sucks because, you want to do stuff like talking, and I use my voice a lot. Yeah. For work, to teach and to do the videos here. So yeah, it wasn't very good, but I'm doing well. Yeah. Hope you've been doing well too. We have here Julio Cesar Ribeiro. Hello, dear teacher. Good evening. Julio Cesar from Rio de Janeiro. Hello, Julio. Welcome. Welcome to the live. Guys, please leave the like there. Yeah. Make sure you like the live. We have here Phyllis. Hello from Turkey. Hello. Awesome. Welcome, Phyllis. Welcome to the live. Kenna is in Ethiopia. Ooh, is that 4:03 a.m. right now over there in the morning? Wow, man. Wow. I mean, I'm gonna ask the same thing I asked a viewer last week. Don't you guys ever sleep? Do you suffer from insomnia or something? All right, all right. We have here Jonathan. Jonathan Ramirez. Hi, teacher. I'm passing by here to improve my listening. Awesome. Welcome. Yeah. Hope you enjoyed the conversation today and stick around. Yeah. Stick around. It's going to be great. Great. Um, we have here also Luz. Hello, Thiago. Hello, Luz. Welcome. Welcome. Yeah. Awesome, guys. Yeah, there's a lot of people here. Yeah. Um, Let me see here. Just one more comment here before we. Okay, two more. Yeah. Adriana Fusco, you have an awesome accent. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for your support. And Joseph, today's the first time I've joined our channel, Thiago. There's something I had to tell you. If you love English, but you're about moving to a country where English is spoken. Okay. Joseph, I'm not sure I understood exactly what you mean here. If you could rephrase the comment, that'd be great. Okay, but thanks for joining. Yeah, and stick around. Wow, man. Sicily. Wow, Sicily, and yeah. Ah, I'm over the moon. I learned this expression today in our podcast. Awesome. Yeah. Over the moon, like very happy. And I'm over the moon for being here with you guys today, just hanging out a little bit. Yeah. Robson from Cajamar, São Paulo. Hello, Robson. Nice to have you here. Welcome. Very nice, guys. Before we start with our conversation today, which is all about movies, I want to talk to you a little bit today about how movies helped me explode my English fluency. And it's true. It's no exaggeration. I think that my English level wouldn't be the same if I hadn't had the habit of regularly watching movies and TV series in English for years by now. Yeah. So I want to tell you a little bit about that today, share a little bit of my experience. One question I have, though, about the technicalities here. First of all, can you guys hear me okay? Is the audio okay? Is the audio clear? Let me know if you can hear me okay. And also let me know if you can see me okay, because last week I had some lagging problems with the video. Am I lagging for you? Look, I am waving now like a crazy person to the camera. Am I lagging? Is my video lagging? Let me know if it's lagging or not. Okay, this is very important for me to know. So the audio is very good. What about the image? Is it fluid or is it laggy? Let me know. Yeah. Okay, people are saying it's okay. It's okay. You see? Yeah, no lagging. That's good. That's good. Yeah. I hope that it stays that way. One change that I did, guys, was I dropped the resolution because last week I was streaming at 1080p, and I think it was a little bit too much for my internet connection to handle, So today I dropped it to 720, 720p. So hopefully it's gonna be better the experience today. Okay. So before I start with the topic today, I have a couple of announcements for you. Just so you don't forget. First of all, my second group of the Speaking Accelerator program is officially open, and I am accepting registrations. We're going to start the program officially on September 15th. It's going to run for 3 weeks. And the topic is great because today we're talking about movies, and the program will be about art and entertainment. So for the first week, we're going to be talking on Telegram via audio messages all about movies. And then the second week is going to be about music. And the third week is going to be about books, And you're going to learn a lot of vocabulary related to those topics, how you can express your interest about those topics, your preferences. So if you're looking for a different way to improve your fluency in English, and also get my feedback via audio messages, consider joining the Speaking Accelerator program. We start now on September 15th, okay? It runs for 3 weeks. Also, I want to remind you here that now I am offering a 101 consultation session. I call it the Fluency Discovery Call. And basically, it's a live call on Zoom for about 1 hour and a half. You and I meet, and my purpose with this call is to get to know you better, ask you questions about your English history, your English goals, and help you determine what your current level is. And then about 48 hours after our call, I'm going to send you by email a PDF with an action plan that is customized to help you get to that level you want. So if you are interested in having maybe a diagnostic session about your English with me, book a call. Both links are here in the description of the video. It's going to be great to getting to know you better and talking to you. Okay. All right. So Leonardo says about the courses, right, Leonardo, about the USD. Look, about the courses, yes. Guys, since I have a global audience here on YouTube, I have people from all over the country. I charge the programs and the courses primarily in dollars, okay? But if you want to pay in your local money, in your local currency, just send me an email, okay? Send me an email. If you go to the pages of my programs, you have my email there. Send me an email telling me that you want to pay in your local currency, and then I can generate a link for you to pay in your local currency, all right? So Don't let that be a barrier for you. Okay, just send me an email. We can figure something out. Okay, it's just that the dollar is like, let's say more international as a currency. It's easier to charge people from the world. Okay, but do let me know. All right, guys. So our conversation today is gonna be all about movies and TV series. First of all, let me ask you, what kinds of movies do you like? Share in the comment section here. For me, what kinds of movies do you enjoy watching or TV series? You know, do you have any favorites? Any favorite movies, any favorite TV series? Let me know here in the comments. A great word that I can teach you today is genre. Okay? Genre. A movie genre is the type of movie. What movie genres do we have? We have action, comedy, thriller, drama. You see, these are all movie genres. All right. So, what is your favorite genre? Yeah. We have here people already sharing some sci fi. Yeah. Science fiction. That's great. Horror movies. Sci fi like Alien. Yeah. Magali prefers watching true stories. You mean like about real people who really existed, I imagine, right? Prison Break. Oh, that's an old one, right? Yeah. I remember watching commercials from Prison Break on TV. Wow. Lost and Dexter. Oh man, I love Dexter. I've seen Dexter, I think, I don't know, 5, 6 times. I still gotta watch the newest ones. I only saw the first one, but now they have released a couple more. Yeah, so I gotta watch more of that. Action movies, Transformers, Friends, thrillers. Yeah, Adriana, I love thrillers as well. Thriller is like suspense. I love that. One expression that you can use when describing a thriller, for example, is thrillers usually keep you on the edge of your seat, you know, to keep you on the edge of your seat. Think about your sofa, your couch, and you are sitting right, on the edge because you are so tense and so into what's going to happen next. You are on the edge of your seat. It's a great expression. Yeah. Thrillers keep you on the edge of your seat. English with Davy. Hi, Teacher Thiago. You really inspire me to create my own YouTube channel. Additionally, always is very entertaining to watch your podcast and videos. Thank you. Yeah, good luck with the channel, Davy. Yeah, awesome. Space and future. That'll be more sci-fi, right? Stories about the genius. Okay. Breaking Bad. I love Breaking Bad, Luis. The Walking Dead, adding son. Yeah, The Walking Dead. Oh man, The Walking Dead used to be so good. I mean, I don't know what your opinion is, Addison, about that, but the last seasons they were just awful, awful to me. I only watched the last episode and the last season just because I had already invested so much time and energy watching The Walking Dead that I had to just finish it. But I wasn't even you know as into it anymore. Yeah. But man, the first seasons were amazing. They were awesome. Really, really good. Troy. Yeah, it's a great movie. Troy with Brad Pitt, right? And Eric Bana. Matrix. Yes, yes, yes. Leonardo, I don't like watching movies, but I watch documentaries. Yeah, I mean, documentaries are great for you to learn stuff, right? They can be very educational, yeah, and informative. All right. Although there are some benefits, Leonardo, to watching movies and series, I'm going to talk about some of them today. Hopefully, that's going to make you want to watch more of them. Okay. Nice, nice. Yeah. Edge of your seat. Yeah, that's correct, guys. Supernatural forever. Yeah, the soundtrack for Supernatural is incredible. The soundtrack is awesome. Of course, it's only rock songs, yeah? Old classic rock songs. I love it. Yeah. So obvious, right? Yeah, 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 yeah. Friends, Breaking Bad, Dexter, Wednesday, and Walking Dead. Very nice. About Wednesday, I think there is season two now, yeah? Season two of Wednesday has just premiered. I have to watch that. I haven't seen it yet. I've only seen the first one. Um Let me see here. Cool. Back to the Future is the best trilogy of the world. Oh yeah. I have to agree with that. Maybe one of the best trilogies. I saw Back to the Future, I don't know, hundreds of times by now. Vikings is a great one. Uh, Pieter is asking about some good titles from European cinema. I gotta be honest with you, man. I'm not. I don't know much. Maybe I should know more. Yeah. By the way, for those of you watching here, if you have any recommendations to share of European movies, yeah, European cinema, feel free to share it here. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think I am more of a Hollywood kind of guy. So it's just how it is. Yeah. Ozark. I've heard of that one. I've heard of that one. People say it's really good. Yeah. I haven't seen it, but I have to check it out. Good Will Hunting. Beautiful movie. Great movie. Yeah, with Robin Williams. And oh man, what's the name of the kid? Is it Matt Damon? I think so. Yeah. Dark. Ah, isn't Dark a German series? Isn't it? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Dark is a German series, isn't it? It's not American, right? Uh, Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. The Lord of the Rings. Yeah. Really cool. Very nice, guys. I love movies. I've always loved it. And since I was a kid, I would say that in a way, I feel fortunate. I feel lucky because my parents always watched the movies in English since forever. Guys, I come from a time when it was still common for us to go to the physical video stores to rent the movies we were going to watch on the weekends. I started with VHS tapes when I was a kid, so I would go to rent the VHS tapes, and then we transitioned to DVDs a few years later. By the way, do you guys remember the VHS tapes? Do you remember that? Let me know here in the comments if you remember the VHS tapes, or if you caught the DVDs, or if you are so young that you just got the streaming services. I miss those days, to be honest. I miss going to video stores. When I was a kid, it was very common for us, as a family, to go to the video store, the local video store on a Friday. My parents and I, and we would rent three, four, five movies to watch over the weekend, and then you would rent the titles on a Friday, and then you would return them on Monday. And it was such a blast. It was a blast of an experience. And my parents always rented the movies in English. They never watched dubbed movies. Never, never. So I think that in a way, even though my parents didn't know English back then, this habit of always watching things in English maybe planted a little seed in me when I was a kid, because I remember watching a lot of movies in English all the time. Of course, the subtitles were in my native language, but the audio was always in English. Yeah. So I barely watched dubbed stuff. By the way, speaking of which, I was checking today, guys, and apparently, at least here in Brazil, the number of movie theaters that have been showing original movies in English is just decreasing. Most movies that are showing here now, they are dubbed, like 70 or 80%. I don't know what you make of that, but, something to think about. Yeah. But, that helped me a lot, watching things in English from, since I was a kid. But then, as you guys know my story, right? I started learning English at around 15 years old. And then I spent the first years, 2 to 3 years, basically practicing with books, right? Like studying with books a lot, grammar books, course books. But then I can even share with you here a little bit of that shift that I had on the slide. Look, there was a problem. Yeah, there was a problem because after studying English with books for maybe 2 years, I realized that I didn't have anybody or any way to practice my listening skills in English, let alone speaking, you know, because nobody in my social circle around me spoke English. Things in Brazil were all, in Portuguese. I mean, we don't have the habit of listening to English in our everyday lives. So I was like, man, I mean, how can I practice my listening skills and my speaking skills in English? Because, okay, I've been studying with books. That's great. I'm practicing my reading skills, my writing skills. But what about the listening or the speaking? You know? So the first solution would be to live in an English speaking country, right? Maybe going on a exchange program and spending a few months, a few years there, so you can have that contact with native speakers, speaking the language every day, right? But for me, that wasn't the case, right? It wasn't an option. Yeah. So to me, it was almost obvious, the idea of using movies, and TV series to improve my listening skills and my speaking skills, because I thought to myself, okay, if I want to speak English well and understand well, I need to see native speakers using English as much as possible and in as many situations as possible. I need to have that contact. Since moving to another country wasn't an option, I realized that movies and media could be that for me, because when you watch a movie or TV show, you see the actors there, the native speaker actors, using English in various situations, So, as I wrote here on the slide, I started with Smallville, and then I moved on to Two and a Half Men, and then with Friends. you know, many people say that they start learning English with Friends, right? That wasn't my case, guys. The very first TV series I used a lot to watch things in English and practice English was Smallville. Smallville is a TV show from Warner Brothers, about Superman. It's the story of Superman when he was a teenager, before he became Superman. So I love that series, and I use that series a lot to practice my English with it. For you to have an idea, I started working formally at 18 years old, right? With my very first paycheck, which wasn't much. I went to the Blockbuster around the corner because, Blockbuster still existed back then. Yeah. I went to the Blockbuster around the corner and bought the first season of Smallville, the box set, on DVDs. And it was quite expensive. Yeah. I think I was making around 500 a month, and the box was like 130. So, but it was a beautiful box, with I think 6 DVDs. You open it and you have all the 6 DVDs there, all the 24 episodes, And the great thing about DVDs is that it was easy for you to change the subtitles, take out the subtitles, which the VHS tapes, didn't allow you to do that. And then I thought to myself, okay, I have here these 6 DVDs, the first season of Smallville. I just spent a fortune on these, and I'm not going to be able to buy the next season anytime soon. I'm going to have to wait a few months before I'm able to buy it again. So I looked at those 6 DVDs of season one, and then I thought, man, this is it. This is going to be my listening practice and my speaking practice for the next 4 or 5 months, So I binged watched those episodes from season one countless times, with subtitles in my native language, with subtitles in English, no subtitles. I would pause, I would go back and repeat what I would hear, So I spent, a lot of time with those episodes of season one. Now, this is something that I can share with you as a tip already. I watched only season one of Smallville for months because that's all I had, you know. But if you think about it, it was actually a good thing, because that forced me to watch the same episodes, the same stories, listen to the same dialogues over and over and over and over again. Nowadays, we have so much content available, and it's so easy with streaming services for you to jump from movie to movie, from series to series, that I think you never really give yourself enough time to absorb all the language from that one scene, that one movie, or that one episode of a TV series. So my recommendation is watch the same material multiple times, and I'm not talking about two times or three times. I'm talking about 10, 15, 20, 30, 100 times. Somebody here mentioned Back to the Future, for example. Guys, I saw Back to the Future, I'm not kidding, maybe by now it's been over 100 times. There are lines from the movie I know by heart, memorized, because I've listened to it for so long and so many times. So don't overestimate, actually, don't underestimate, excuse me, don't underestimate the power of consuming the same material repeatedly, over and over and over and over and over. Your brain needs repetition to really absorb the language well. you know so think about that. But then, after spending enough time with Smallville, I moved on to Two and a Half Men, and then Two and a Half Men became my next favorite TV series. I love that series, man. Again, it's a TV show that I must have seen by now hundreds of times, And the same thing, I would buy the seasons on DVD. At that time, I was already making a little bit more money, yeah, because I was working. So I would just buy the seasons on DVD, and I would watch those episodes. Series like Two and a Half Men and Friends, they are what we call sitcoms. Sitcoms, situation comedies. The great thing about these comedy series is that the episodes are short. You know, so for English practice, it's much easier for you to use because the episodes are short. Smallville was fun, but the episodes were like 40 minutes long, 45 minutes long. Now, if you pick Two and a Half Men or Friends, it's a 20-minute episode, And I shared this last week because a viewer asked a question about that. With these comedy series, these sitcoms, many times I would watch the same episode 3 times, because think about it. Each episode is 20 minutes. I can just spend 1 hour of my day watching the same episode 3 times. 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes. Yeah. The first time, audio in English, subtitles in my native language. Second time, audio in English, subtitles in English. And the third time, no subtitles, just the audio. But by the third time, you feel like you understand everything because you have just seen the thing twice, So, Two and a Half Men was a great show for me, very foundational as well. And of course, then after that, I got into Friends and I also enjoyed it a lot. And then I watched that with the DVDs, yeah, many, many times. And then, of course, after that, we have the more recent series, right? Like you guys were mentioning, you have Vikings, Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, The Walking Dead. Although, when those series came out, I already spoke English, yeah, because they are more recent, yeah. These ones that I'm mentioning here, Smallville, Two and a Half Men, they are series from the early 2000s to mid 2000s. That was the moment where I was really learning English, still studying, still learning, So yeah, I mean, we're talking about 25 years ago, 20 something years ago. Yeah. And Friends is even older. Yeah. Friends is from the 90s, right? It's from the mid 90s, but then they ended in early 2000s. Yeah. So those were the series that, I used a lot for learning English back in the day, you know? And just to share with you guys some examples here of great vocabulary that I learned from them. It's amazing because I never forgot these. I learned these words and expressions from watching these series, and I've never forgotten them. Yeah. For example, if you look here for Smallville, yeah, one word that stuck with me was sleepyhead, right here, sleepyhead. You know, and the scene was like this. Clark Kent, Superman. He's a teenager. He woke up early, late. He overslept. Then his father comes in the room. Clark has just woken up, and then his father says, "Afternoon, sleepyhead." And then I was like, "Oh, okay." By the context here, I think he means that Clark sleeps a lot or sleeps too much. So sleepyhead might be a way, like a funny way, to call somebody who sleeps a lot, like your teenage son, for example. You know. So I learned that. I never forgot it. About pronunciation, there was a scene that I remember until this day from Smallville. Clark discovers that he's an alien, you know, because he comes from Krypton, right? He's not a human. His stepfather, his human father, tells him that he's not human. He came from the sky, and then his father shows him the spaceship he came in, right? And Clark, of course, he gets upset about it. He gets mad, and then he tells his father, "You should have told me. You should have told me." But you see, the phrase is "you should have told me." That's the phrase right here. You should have told me. Yeah. But he used connected speech there. He says, "You shoulda, you shoulda, you shoulda told me. You should have told me." And I remember listening to that phrase for the first time, and I was like, what is he talking about? What is he saying? I don't understand that. And then I would turn on the subtitles on the DVD, and then I was like, oh man, that's what he said? You should have told me? But I didn't hear the have. I didn't hear the word have. He said shoulda. You should have told me. And then, little by little, I started to understand about connected speech and learn about connected speech, how native speakers join the sounds like that and reduce and cut sounds. Yeah. Another example that I remember vividly until today is from Two and a Half Men. Look at this first word right here, loathe. Loathe. This is such an advanced word. Guys, this is a C2 level word, loathe. When you loathe somebody, you hate that person. But loathing is that feeling of strong hate or strong disgust. I remember that in the scene, because it's two brothers, right? Charlie and Alan. Yeah, and Charlie, the older brother, he's always teasing Alan, always making fun of him, as the older brother. And then Alan just turns to him and he says, "Sometimes I just loathe you," like that. "Sometimes I just loathe you. And then I remember watching that scene. I was like, man, what is that word? Let me pause that because, it stood out to me so much. Yeah, loathe. Sometimes I just loathe you. What does that mean? So I actually paused the DVD at the time, and then I opened my then physical dictionary to look up the meaning. Yeah. And then I learned that, okay, loathe is another word for hate. But you see how awesome, how amazing watching TV series and movies is. I mean, I'm sure you know the word hate. And the word hate, if you go to the Cambridge Dictionary, is an A2 level word. It's a pre-intermediate word, or even elementary word, you could say. It's quite basic. But did you know the word loathe? You see, loathe has the same meaning, a little bit stronger, yes, but it's a more advanced word, you see? But I learned it from Two and a Half Men. I mean, who would have thought, right? I learned the word loathe, a C2 level word, from Two and a Half Men, you know? Movies and TV series are also great because they get you in touch with colloquial language and expressions. I've already shared this story many times on past podcasts. On Two and a Half Men, one of the the characters are having dinner or lunch together, and then I think it's Charlie's girlfriend. She's cooking for everybody there. Her name is Chelsea, And then Berta, Charlie's housekeeper, she wants to eat more. So Chelsea says, anybody wants more potatoes or something like that? And then Berta lifts up her plate and says, hit me, you know? And then I was like, what? Hit me? I mean, to hit somebody is like to punch somebody or to hit somebody, right? But in that context, the meaning was entirely different, completely different, you know? So then looking at the context, I understood that hit me was a casual, informal, colloquial way of saying, yeah, give me more. I want more potatoes. Just hit me. Yeah. Just, you know, pour me some more. All right. But you see, it's the kind of language that if you were living abroad, if you were living in the US, for example, you would probably learn, by being in touch with native speakers in everyday conversation. But if that's not your case, if you can't do that, movies and TV series help you learn this kind of language, the kind of language that you would never learn in a formal course, at a school, or in a textbook. This is not textbook English, you know? That's why it's amazing to learn, you know, um, with movies and TV series. Yeah. Because of this kind of language. I think somebody said here in the chat that they prefer documentaries. Documentaries are great. It's a different type of media. They are very educational, very informative, but, you know, it's hard, yeah, to come to see language like this, in a documentary. All right. Unless, the documentary is about a real person or it has an informal tone to it, that's all right, right? But what I mean is, it's much harder for you to come across colloquial language in documentaries, So, something to think about, all right? Documentaries are great, but movies and TV series are awesome, yeah, for that matter. And here are a couple of examples that I remember from Friends. From Friends. These are all scenes that have stuck in my head all these years. One of them is Chandler singing Space Oddity by David Bowie. Space Oddity is a famous song by David Bowie. I love David Bowie, and man, I I think that was a scene. Those scenes at the end of the episode, like the main episode has just ended, the story has just ended, you know. But then they have those short sketches or scenes at the end of the episode, just something funny, to close the episode. And in that sketch, Chandler appears on the TV, on an old recording, with a beard to be shaved, a little bit scruffy, singing Space Oddity. And I remember him singing like ground control to Major Tom. And then he goes, what's the lyrics, man? I forgot the words. Commencing countdown, engines on. It's so fun, Another great thing about movies and TV series is that they introduce you to cultural references. Not just the colloquial vocabulary, but also cultural references. Like Space Oddity, for example. If you know the song, if you know Space Oddity by David Bowie, by watching that clip of Chandler in Friends singing it, you're going to have a much better time with that scene because you fully understand the context, the cultural reference there. Now, if you have never heard of the song, can you still enjoy the scene? Of course you can. Yeah, you can enjoy the actor's performance. But you see, movies and TV series also introduce you to cultural references like that. Music from English speaking countries, movies, yeah, art, yeah. And I really believe that for you to be a well rounded speaker of English, you also need to learn a little bit of those, yeah, a little bit of movies, music, yeah, from that culture. Something else that Ross always says in Friends, right? Those of you who have seen it, is we were on a break, right? To Rachel. He says that countless times throughout the whole series, right? He goes, we were on a break. Nothing really spectacular here about language, but the connected speech. You see, on. if you listen to Ross saying that over and over again throughout 10 seasons, we were on a break. We were on a break. You will naturally internalize this connection of on and on a, on a, on a. You see, we were on a break just by the sheer repetition, by listening to that phrase over and over. Or what about Joey? And Joey's, how you doing? He does that all the time, right? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? What can you learn with this? You can learn that, or you can take away that in everyday conversation, it's common for native speakers to drop the auxiliary verb because the correct question here would be, how are you doing? That's the correct question, the complete version. How are you doing? But Joey just drops the R, the auxiliary, and he goes, how you doing? How you doing? So, it is possible to do that. You see, it's little things like that, little details like that that you can only pick up if you spend a lot of time abroad actively, listening to native speakers and talking to them, and I mean actively, or by consuming native media like that. Something else I find interesting about French is that Ross, he speaks very clearly. He enunciates every word very clearly to the point that even the other friends make fun of him because of that. But it's a great character for you to listen to. Yeah, because he speaks very clearly. You see? So these are just a few examples of things that I remember until today. And keep in mind, guys, I've seen these scenes more than 20 years ago, 25 years ago. You see how awesome it is? That also helps you memorize vocabulary because usually when you watch a movie or TV show, there is an emotion attached there. I really believe that if you connect something that you are trying to memorize with an emotion, you memorize that thing better. So in all these cases, there was emotion going on. With 2.5 Men, I was laughing a lot. I was having a good time with Friends or Smallville, you see? So it was something deeply engaging, emotionally speaking. Yeah. And that is one of the reasons why I remember these words until today, or these phrases until today, you know? And I would say that a lot of my vocabulary comes from movies and TV series. It was incredible. One time I was teaching in a classroom, I was teaching at a school in class. That was already, I don't know, 10 years ago. Yeah, it's been a while. And then my Brazilian student asked me the question, Thiago, how can I say soldador? Soldador, the profession, How can I say soldador in English? And then I was like, oh man, soldador. And then I took a pause. I kind of went back to my brain. And then I remember that I saw the word welder, in the movie Flashdance. Have you guys seen Flashdance? Flashdance, the girl who she works as a welder, during the day, and she dances at nightclubs at night, to make a living. Yeah, this movie is from the 80s. It's from 1983. But you see, she's a welder. She works as a welder during the day. I learned the word welder from that movie. And then when my student asked me about that, oh yeah, it's welder. Yeah, I've seen it on Flashdance. So again, don't underestimate the power of having the habit of watching movies and TV series actively. I also want to share with you guys here very quickly my method, my system, very quickly here. I've already made an episode about this here on the channel. It's called How I Learned English with Movies and TV Series. It has the photo of me holding a remote control. It's an older episode. Just watch that. And then it's a 40-minute episode where I really go into detail of my step-by-step process, how I did it, how I studied and practiced English actively with movies and TV series. But just to summarize here, this is how my approach would go. I would pick a short scene to study with, maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes. I would watch the scene. The first watch, I would focus on the context first. What is the context here? What is the situation? What is going on? Who are these people? Yeah. Who's who here? Yeah. How are the characters feeling? The context. Then I would watch it again, but for listening practice, paying attention to certain connections or certain ways of pronouncing the words or even the tone of voice. Yeah. Like if the character is angry, how is the character saying that line? If the character is bored, how is the character saying that? You know? Like imagine the expression, what a drag. What a drag means, oh, that's so boring. Imagine we're watching a movie about kids at school, and one of the kids could go, oh, what a drag. You know? Oh, math class, what a drag. So capturing or getting that nuance as well, the feeling, the intonation. Then I will watch it again, but focusing on vocabulary or grammar. It depended on my focus at the time. So sometimes I would focus on just maybe choosing one word that I didn't know, to add to my vocabulary list, or focus on a specific grammar structure. Um, it's no secret that I love grammar. I've always loved grammar, and I studied grammar formally with books and stuff. I took time to do it. And for example, if I were practicing the past simple or the present perfect in my grammar book, next time I would watch a movie or TV series in English with the subtitles in English, I would actively look in the subtitles for examples of past simple sentences, present perfect sentences. And then when I found one, I would pause and take notes and try to understand why the character used that tense in that moment. But you see the level of proactivity that is behind it. It's not just about watching stuff passively. Learning through osmosis. Watching stuff for the sake of watching. That is one approach. I mean, it's great for having fun. Watching passively is great for having fun and for keeping the content with spoken English. You know, but if you are serious about improving your English level in fluency and confidence, you also need to set aside some time to be a little bit more active and to actually study with the movies and TV series or the documentaries you enjoy, you know? And then going back to my method here, I would finally watch the scene again without subtitles just to really consolidate everything. And like I've already shared, I would watch the same movie, episode, or scene multiple times to the point that I actually knew by heart, memorized lines. Okay? Look, the best way to learn a language is to immerse yourself in authentic content that you actually enjoy watching. That is very important. Yeah, you got to enjoy watching that stuff. So, why authentic? Because this is real English. It's real language being spoken. It's not the English that you see in a textbook that has been filtered by many teachers and writers, before, they are published. Yeah. This is authentic content, authentic language. Yeah. And I really believe that it's the best way to learn a language. Yeah. Immersing yourself in authentic content that you actually care about, that you actually enjoy watching. Okay. And then, as results, I think that my English today, as you hear it, can be like a testament, let's say, right, of how this approach of using a lot of movies and TV series and music has helped me, right? If you like the way I speak English, if you like the way I pronounce the words, my accent, or whatever it is, be sure that a huge part of that has to do with me being a movie lover and TV series lover. I love media. I love movies and TV shows and music. All right. So here are some benefits that I noticed in my English, and you can have yourself too if you use more movies and TV series in your studies. Pronunciation improvement, learning proper intonation, rhythm, and accent by mimicking native speakers from different shows. All right. vocabulary acquisition, learning more idioms, phrasal verbs, slang that aren't typically taught in textbooks. The grammar, you can absorb grammatical structures, more naturally through repeated exposure to correct usage. And the speaking, you know, it helped me develop confidence and fluency by practicing with real world conversational English. And here's what I did about the speaking, every time I learned something new from a movie or TV show, maybe a new word or a new expression, I would make sure that I use that word and expression the next opportunity I had to speak English with someone. You know, it was something very conscious, very intentional. Like, okay, the next conversation in English I have, I gotta use this word. I gotta use this expression, because that's also part of the learning. Yeah. Actively using what you have been studying and trying to memorize. Okay. So, guys, that's pretty much it. This is a little bit of my journey with movies and TV series. Yeah. And man, I love it. I love this type of media, and I highly recommend you develop this habit more of watching things in English. All right. I think you're gonna have a great time. You're gonna have fun, and you will see how much your English will improve. You know. So now, guys, I have a few minutes here for questions. Yeah. My idea with these lives is this. I bring a topic to present to you, to talk to you about, and then at the end of my presentation, I can open here for a few questions if you want to ask me some questions about English. Yeah, if you want to share something. So now is the time. Let me just do something really cool here. Take a look. By the way, please like the video if you haven't yet. Yeah, like the live. Excuse me, not like the like, but like the live. Let me add here. You see, Q&A, Q&A. Yes. So let's have a little Q&A now before we go. Yeah, you guys are talking about colloquial, right? Yes. Colloquial means unique expressions from a certain area, city, or culture. Yeah, it's the opposite of textbook English. It's the English that native speakers of a language really use in everyday conversation, you know? And Juan says, let me pop up here the comment. In my experience, once I reached the B2 level, I focused on words that resonated with me. It was really useful to make the word stick. Absolutely, Juan. It has to be meaningful. Yeah, it's got to be meaningful to you. If the word doesn't resonate with you, if the movie doesn't resonate with you, the song, the book, it doesn't work. Yeah. So it's got to be things you care about that resonate with you. That is a good word, by the way. Very nice. Let me see here. Yazid Garzon, have you ever been teach in another country? No, I have never taught English in another country. I've always taught English in Brazil, mainly to Brazilians. Yeah. But now, thanks to the internet and YouTube, I've been having the chance to work with other students from different countries, and it's amazing. It's been wonderful because I can see what struggles students from other nationalities have that maybe Brazilian learners don't have, and vice versa. It's been very good. By the way, let me offer a correction here. Have you ever been teach? No. Have you ever taught? Okay, that's the correct question. Have you ever taught in another country? All right. Let me see what we have here. Regarding the series, is The Office a good series to learn English and skyrocket your skills? I like The Office. Yeah, I like it a lot. The American one. I mean, with man, what's his name? Steve Carell. Yeah, with Steve Carell. It's a good show. Yeah, it's a good show. The great thing about The Office is that you might learn some words that are more common in the office. Yeah, in the workplace. Yeah. For example, you see, I just shared that with you in my presentation. You see, guys, you see how amazing that is? As you mentioned The Office, and I'm talking about The Office, I just remembered a word that I saw in The Office that is very business English like downsizing. Downsizing, I think this is in the first episode of season one. Yeah, one of the woman managers there, I forgot her name, I think it's Jen. She comes in and then people start talking about downsizing. Ooh, is the company gonna be downsized? Are we gonna have downsizing? This is a business English word. It's a word that's typically used in business. When a company downsizes, it reduces in size, right? So they have to let people go, they have to fire people. Yeah, maybe because they're cutting costs. So if a department or even the company downsizes, that's usually not good because it means that some people will lose their jobs. But you see, I mean, that is a word that just came to me because I've seen The Office. You see, so but yeah, it's a good show. It's a good show. Um, what else do we have here? English with Davey. Choose a TV series that you really love in your native language. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be meaningful. Yeah, it's got to be meaningful. Let me see here if there's any other questions here. I've just learned a cool phrase from Back to the Future, which is slacker. Yeah, yeah, it's a good word, slacker. A slacker is like a lazy person, a person who doesn't apply themselves so much. Yeah. Um, as I remember correctly, the principal of the school, yeah, Mr. Stickler, he says that to Marty. Yeah, he calls him a slacker. Yeah. So you see, the kind of vocabulary you only, you know, um, learn by watching movies and stuff, guys. Really cool. Um, Fantastic explanation. Thanks a lot. My pleasure, Reginaldo. Yeah, I'm glad you found it useful. Very nice. Do you guys have any? Let me see here. Um, what about always try to find? Let me see the question here, guys. Ah, this is an interesting question from Carlos. Yeah. What about always trying to find the easier way to communicate? Is it normal during learning or is it just me? Carlos, I would say it's normal because, if you are having a real conversation with people in real life, your goal is to communicate, is to exchange messages, is not to sound specifically clever or sophisticated I mean, these things are nice, sounding clever and sophisticated, but they come with time. Your primary goal is to communicate. So, especially if you are more of a pre-intermediate or intermediate learner, even focus on that. Don't focus so much on perfection. Just focus on getting your message across. Focus on understanding what the person is telling you, and responding accordingly and sharing your ideas. Even if at a limited time, at a limited, let's say, even if your communication is limited, let's say, you know, and you're not communicating as well as you would like, that's part of the process. And then the idea is that as you get more advanced, your level of sophistication and fluency also increase. But yeah, it's absolutely normal to maybe find easier ways to communicate because I think it's much easier for you to get through the conversation than blocking and freezing, right? So that's a good question like that. Um, Farid, oh yeah, you were here last week, right? Hello, Farid. I'm shadowing you a lot. You're amazing, Chaco. Thank you, man. Yeah, shadowing is about imitating the person, right? So I'm glad to know that you're doing that. Yeah. Um, Let me see here. Jonathan. I'm watching Dexter with subtitles. I understand what is going on, but the English skills, I just got 40% more or less. Yeah, it's part of the process, right? And I think I shared this last week. Some movies and TV series are harder than others. Dexter, for example, there's a lot of vocabulary about crime, investigation, a lot of police jargon. Yeah, so, because of that, it might be trickier for you to understand. Yeah, but keep watching it. It's a great series. Yeah, great TV show. All right. Let me see here. Eliabi. Hi, guys. Thiago, I started talking daily with my wife after your recommendation to practice speaking every day and not just speaking with the mind. Okay. Thanks so much. That's great, Eliabi. Yeah, do that. If your wife is also trying to improve her English, have a little moment in your routine to speak only in English with each other and watch movies and TV series in English with each other. It's even better if you can do that as a couple. Yeah. One can help each other, one can support each other. Yeah. Let me see here. Camilo. My dear Thiago, greetings from Colombia. Hello. I'm an English teacher. During 10 years, I've got C1 level, but I couldn't reach C2 level. Some tips. Ooh. That is a good question, Camilo. Let me just have some water first. Some water. Some water. Okay. I'm an English teacher during 10 years. I've got C1 level, but I couldn't reach C2 level. Some tips. Camilo, I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, are you sure you are C1 level? Don't get me wrong, okay? It's just that looking at your comment here, I spot a few inaccuracies, let's say, a few mistakes. For example, I'm, yeah? I mean, without the apostrophe here, yeah? That's one detail. And also during, like, I'm an English teacher during 10 years. We usually say for 10 years, yeah? And it's not even correct to say I am an English teacher for 10 years. The real correct way here would be present perfect. I've been, you know, I've been an English teacher for 10 years. Yeah, that's the correct way to say this. I've been an English teacher for 10 years. Yeah. So, based on that, I'm not sure you are really a C1. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, because I will have to listen to you, of course. Yeah? And maybe you took a test and it showed you that you are C1. That's fine. Okay. I'm not doubting you. Okay. It's just that based on the comment, I mean, I spotted some details that, in my mind, a typical C1 speaker wouldn't make in terms of mistakes. But anyway, let me give you some tips here about C2 level. Yeah. Look, both C1 and C2 levels, they are mainly about vocabulary. Mainly. C2 even more. It's usually like this. B2 is a level where you should have a very good level of grammar already, of structure, very good level of accuracy already, and everyday vocabulary. Then moving on to C1, you also learn some more advanced constructions, some sentences in terms of grammar, and the vocabulary gets even more advanced, you know. And then by C2, it's all about vocabulary mostly. We understand that if you are preparing for C2, you already have a very good, solid level of English, and now you just want to refine it. C2 is all about refining. Think about it that way. If your English is not awesome already, let me say that again. If your English is not excellent already, if your English is not awesome already, don't even try to prepare for C2 yet, because C2 is all about refining, refining. So B2 is a great level for you to fix things, you know? C1 is a great level for you to take it to the next level, the advanced level. And then C2 is all about, polishing things. It's all about that. Yeah. For example, I think, give us some C2 sentence example. Yeah. We can think about vocabulary, for example. Yeah. We have the word hackneyed in English. Hackneyed. Something hackneyed is something trivial, something boring that has been done many times. So, for example, I can say that the plot of this movie is cliched, is boring, or I can say that I found the plot a little bit hackneyed, like, hackneyed plot. But you see, this is a word that is just, it's C2 level. Or even the word that I used earlier, loathe, you know? Sometimes I just loathe you. I mean, who says loathe in everyday conversation? This is much more advanced, you know? And also little things like inversions, for example. You know, inversions? Let me think of an inversion sentence here to give you as an example, guys. Not only did I not only did I learn English with movies, but I also improved my vocabulary tenfold. You see, this is an example of an inversion sentence. What am I doing here? Yeah, this is a sentence. It's not a question. Okay, but I'm using did, the auxiliary, before, even though it's not a question. Not only did I, you see, not only did I learn English with movies, but also my vocabulary improved tenfold. You see, I mean, think about it that way. A B2 level learner would hardly use that structure. Not only did I do something. Or another example of inversion, little did I know they had broken up. You see, little did I know. This is an inversion sentence. B2 level learners usually don't use that. You know, little did I know I was lost, or little did I know they had broken up, you know, and even little details like the perfect tenses, using the past perfect tenses more often, the present perfect tenses more often, like in this case here, I'm an English teacher. I mean, where is the perfect here? I've been an English teacher, you see? So aside from vocabulary, using more different verb tenses as well, and constructions. Future perfect is another great example, now it's 11:13, right? My time. By this time tomorrow, I will have had dinner. Listen closely. By this time tomorrow, I will have had dinner. This is future perfect. B2 level learners rarely use that construction, not even some C1 level learners. You see, so that's what we mean by C2 level. C2 level is more about using the sentences more precisely, more accurately, and using better vocabulary. I mean, more different words, let's say, that's pretty much it. Yeah. The vocabulary is much more robust. Yeah. Teacher Thiago, you know a lot of vocabulary. You are like a dictionary. Thank you, Davey. I appreciate that. But look, it's all study. And remember, guys, many, many years. Look, my English is not perfect, I mean, sometimes I might make some slips here and there because I'm tired or whatever. But think about it this way. I have been on this journey of learning English and teaching it for more than 20 years. You see, so it's not overnight. And going back to the topic of today's live, a lot of movies, TV series, and also reading, yeah, these habits have helped me a lot, okay, with that. But I appreciate that, Just one final comment about C2. I think it's such a specific level. It only makes sense for you to go for it if you really love the language and you want to go all the way, or if you work as a teacher. If you work as a teacher or any English professional, I think it makes sense to want to go to C2. But for the general population, I would say C1 is already a great level for you to strive for. You know, let me see what Camila responded here. Yeah, before. I apologize for any shortcomings in my spelling. Since I've grown accustomed to mostly speaking with native speakers, my writing hasn't developed as much as I'd like. I truly value your advice. Yes, you see, that is that is a much better written comment, Camilo. And guys, I am a little bit of a stickler with writing. You know, if I see something that is not well written, I immediately go like, you know, I think that is very important. I mean, I'm a teacher, right? So to me, it's really important for you to write well, you know, write a correct punctuation, the spelling. But for example, I apologize for any shortcomings in my spelling. Shortcoming is an example of a C1 to C2 level word. Somebody was asking about it. Yeah? Shortcoming. You see? Something that is not to the level. Yeah? I've grown accustomed. That's another difference as well in terms of formality, right? Because accustomed could be replaced by used to, right? I've gotten used to speaking with native speakers. You see? I've gotten used to speaking with native speakers. That's a more everyday way of speaking this phrase. But I've grown accustomed to mostly speaking. That sounds more formal, more academic, even, you know? But yeah, I mean, about writing or developing as much as you would like, that is true. I mean, we all have strong points and weak points, yeah, in our skills. Yeah, you might find that some of your skills are better than others. Maybe your speaking and your listening skills are at C1 level, you know, but maybe the reading or the writing, they might be there, yeah, but barely, you know, and that's okay, you know. We then know what to do to become more well-rounded as speakers of English. That's why I love, guys, I love proficiency exams, and Cambridge is my favorite because, you know, you can see what your level of speaking is, listening, use of English, reading, writing, and then you have a better idea of your abilities, you know. But yeah, I appreciate the follow-up comment, Camilo. Thank you. Yeah. Victoria, hello, Chagwa. I just arrived from the gym, only saying hello, hello. Yeah. Hope you had a good workout, Victoria. Yeah. Thanks for dropping by. Angel or Angel, I did a proficiency exam and I got a B2 level, but I have a hard time when I try to produce the language. Yeah. Do, if you did the B2 level exam, Angel, do you remember what your lowest marks were? You know, what were the skills that you scored the lowest? You know, because yes, maybe the productive skills, the speaking and the listening, actually the speaking and the writing, they need more attention. Maybe your receptive skills, the listening and the reading are okay. They are a B2 level, you know? So remember, the skill that you focus more on grows. Yeah, what you focus on tends to grow. Yeah. So if you feel like it's hard to produce language, focus more on being more proactive and active producing language. Maybe stop consuming so much and start producing more. All right. That's what I would say, Angel. But great job for getting the B2 level. This is a very good level already. It is a milestone for many learners. So congratulations. Okay. Magali, let's see. I have a question. Have you ever feel tired to speak English? Just a doubt. I think you mean, have you ever felt, right, Magali? Have you ever felt tired speaking English? Maybe at the beginning, maybe as an intermediate learner, maybe I would feel more tired. Nowadays, I feel tired not because of English per se, but just because I'm tired. Yeah. For example, there are some days in the week that I teach all day. I teach classes all day. By the end of the day, my brain is done. My brain is melted, I'm super tired. Yeah. But it's not so much the English, it's more like the working day. You start early in the morning and then you teach all day or you work all day. Obviously, even in your native language, you're going to feel tired by the end of the day. Yeah. But no, nowadays, I don't feel that. If I felt that, it was maybe when I was more intermediate, I would say. Okay. But it's a good question. Yeah. It's a nice question. I like that. Let me see another question here. Oh, I think I have a good question here, guys. Uh, Look, this is from Fusion or Fusion. What can I do to move from understanding the big to understanding the details? That is a very good question. Like, I think you were asking, how can you move from understanding just the general idea of something to understanding the details? Time, it's absolutely essential here. Yeah, patience, because your listening needs time to develop. Listen to a lot of English, that's one thing, but I would say also practice listening for specific information. You know, we have two approaches for listening for gist and listening for specific information. When you listen for gist, you are only focused on the main message, you know, of the audio track. Okay, what is the main idea here? This is listening for gist. But you also have to practice listening for specific information, maybe getting a number, getting a name, getting the name of a city, specific information. Yeah. Another thing you can try for that is you can try listening to something and writing down exactly what you hear. And I mean exactly, verbatim, word for word. Okay? We feel, many times we feel like we understand everything, right? But if you have to write exactly what the person said word for word, you might realize that, maybe I didn't understand as well as I did, So practice that. Practice that. So if you are watching a movie or a TV series, focus on one sentence. Maybe you can turn off the subtitles. Okay, just listen to it. Focus on one sentence. When you hear that sentence, pause and write down what you understood. Okay, you might need to do that multiple times. So go back, play that line again, listen and write. Go back, listen and check. You might need to listen to that same line a few times to start getting the words little by little. And then after that, you finally activate the subtitles and then you double check. Is what you wrote exactly what is on the subtitles? So that's a good way to practice that, listening for more details or specific information. It's a little bit more laser focused, more granular type of practice. I recommend you do that when you are more, going to advanced, like B2 to C1 level. You can start worrying about that. If you are a little bit lower in your level, like maybe B1, focus more on understanding the gist. Okay? But that's a great question. Great question. Let me see if we have another question here. Man, I'm trying to understand the question. Just a second, guys. What is your thoughts about how can we as a nation improve? Okay, this is a good question for me to address. I think is it Kaoshida? Okay. Tricky question. What are your thoughts about how we can improve as a nation the amount or the number of English speakers in Brazil? Yeah, I made a video about that here on my channel a few months ago. The video is called Why Most Brazilians Don't Know English. And there were some people who actually got mad at me, yeah, with that video. Yeah, they're like, no, Thiago, you hate Brazil. You hate Brazilians. No, guys, I don't hate Brazil, okay? I don't hate Brazilians, okay? That was just, what I observed in my 25 years of experience teaching Brazilian learners, And think about it that way. The reason why I made that video is because I care. Okay? I care. I want more Brazilians to know English. I want more Brazilians to have more opportunities, to lead better lives, to become fluent speakers of English. If I didn't care, I wouldn't have bothered to make that video. It's much easier to keep people ignorant and not knowing it. But that's not what I believe. So saying that I don't care about Brazil or Brazilians because I made that video critiquing or criticizing some behaviors that I see is just, it's ridiculous, you know? That's exactly why I made that video. I mean, if you are a parent, if you're a father or mother, and you see that your teenage son is doing something wrong, aren't you gonna point that out and hopefully, correct the behavior there? Why do you do that? Because you want the best for your son. It's the same thing. I mean, I want the best for my country people, for Brazilians. That's why I made that video, you know? So anyway, to answer your question here, it's a tricky one, yeah, because, there are so many factors why many Brazilians are not fluent in English yet. But I think that the internet is the best solution, for this because, the internet has democratized good quality information. Now it's much easier for you to have access to good teachers, to good information, and most of that is for free. Most of that is free. So I think that if more people take advantage of that, of YouTube and the internet to learn English, in the future, more and more Brazilians will inevitably know more English. And I do believe that. I do believe that this generation and next generations will be more fluent than my parents' generations, my grandparents' generations, because they have more access to technology. So I think that leveraging technology is the best way, practically speaking, to, let's say, solve that. But it's something that's going to take time. And, us as parents and educators and teachers, doing our best to get the kids interested in learning English, in watching English. If you have children, for example, young children, play movies in English for them. They understand eventually. Trust me, they will understand. So if your kid loves to watch, I don't know, Toy Story, play Toy Story in English. Why would you play in Portuguese? This is going to be great. Yeah, for the child to start absorbing that and start enjoying English. So, yeah, I mean, I have hope. I still have hope that the number of Brazilian English speakers, fluent speakers, will increase in the future, as it has already been increasing, I believe. And I am certainly doing my part, yeah, to change that. All right. But thanks for the question. That was a, very good one. Yeah, something to think about. Guys, that was great. That was wonderful. Yeah, but I'm gonna be wrapping up. Yeah, the live. Yeah, and it was great to be with you today. I hope you got value from this live today. I hope you learned something. I hope you maybe had an insight, maybe one word you learned today. Yeah, maybe you had a takeaway like, oh yeah, one word Thiago used today. I like that word. I'm gonna incorporate that. Thank you so much for being with me up until now. Yeah, you guys are warriors. Thanks, I really appreciate that. Just a couple of reminders here. Like the video here, share this video, yeah, this live with people who are also interested in learning English. And don't forget to learn more about my Speaking Accelerator program, Group 2, starting on September 15th. And also, if you want, you can also book a one-on-one call with me for us to find out together what your current level really is and what you should do to get to the next level with a personalized action plan. Okay? Guys, thank you so much. Yeah. And I'll be signing off. All right. But, I'll be here again next week live, and then we can talk about more questions. Okay, you can ask me more questions, and I can answer them. All right. If you want to learn more about the programs and stuff, just send me an email. Send me an email, and then I can give you more information about that. Okay. I'm just gonna leave the just click on the links in the description of the video. You know, and you're gonna see my email there on the page. Yeah, just scroll down, you're gonna see, and then send me an email if you still have questions about the Speaking Accelerator program or the 101 call. Okay, thank you so much. Good night, good evening, good afternoon, or good morning. Yeah, to those of you guys there, you were wonderful, and speak to you very soon. All right, take care, guys. Bye bye.